I want to bring up Danielle Hunter. He's still a free agent. I'm curious. I've seen reports the Bears are interested. Stay away. Stay away. We don't need that. If you want to haunt your former team, come to the Lions. Come to the Lions. Even though the Vikings signed Van Gink, which we talked about. They signed him. They did. They signed Jonathan Greenyard, which we talked about. We'll get to that later. But is Danielle Hunter, what are your guys' kind of confidence level with that? Because if they sign a Danielle Hunter, that puts that now we're talking, hey, you're upset. Here's something for you. And you're like, oh, I'm good now. I'm straight. Marcus Davenport, who? I don't even care if you get Danielle Hunter. What do you guys feel like? Is that still a possibility, you think? Or is it no?
If I'm being honest, the fact that they haven't really made a move on the defensive line yet, and all these other teams makes me think that Brad feels like that's even a chance. Like we were like, he was going for him at the trade deadline. So obviously it's a guy they like a lot and Brad likes. And and it's like very, very evident. And I think the whole fan base, and I think everyone knows that you need someone on the other side of Aiden Hutchinson. And I think everyone wants Danielle Hunter. I know Brad, I'm sure, is like, yep, we need to get that done if we can. The fact they haven't signed a big time defensive player or defensive lineman yet, I think they're in play still for it, if I'm being honest. And hopefully it's like a 2 or 3 year deal, and it's gonna cost you some money. Danielle Hunter changes your whole defense. Like, it changes everything. Like, if you get Danielle Hunter, you getting Carlton Davis, that offsets you not getting L'Jarius Sneed, like we talked about earlier. Like, that offsets everything, because Carlton Davis got, like we said, they had a pass rush in Tampa, and he was able to play really well. That helps out Cam Sutton. It helps out the safeties. You have Aiden Hutchinson and Danielle Hunter on each side. That becomes the best defensive edge rusher duo in the NFL. Like you just saw what the Giants just did. They have Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns now. Like some of these teams, like what Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins now, like some of these teams are stacking up defensive linemen. I think it's like, all right, it's your turn now, Brad. Like, go get Danielle Hunter. I think he does it. I think he's like has his hat in the circle right now. And he's all right. I'm going for it.
I mean, I think there's definitely still a chance, but if we're being honest, if it actually happens or not, I don't think it does. I'm not ruling it out, because I do think, Booner, what you are saying does have some truth, where it's like people like me, where it's like laughing at their phone. You brought in Marcus Davenport for $6.5 million. Why? And Brad always does that, where it's like you're asking why, and then it makes sense. So maybe it's someone else besides Danielle Hunter. Maybe he trades for somebody that wants to be traded for. We just saw Brian Burns. I know a lot of people were expecting him to be traded, but people didn't expect Carlton Davis to be traded. So maybe Brad goes out and finds another guy. But just Danielle Hunter, I don't see it happening. But obviously, I want it to happen for all the points Booner just mentioned.
He's got a lot of money.
I want it to happen. Obviously, you guys know I've been clamoring on this podcast that's my number one guy. Go out and get him, and it kind of solidifies the defense, and then you kind of build off of that. But I don't know if I'm wrong to say this, but I feel like if you're going to sign a big guy like that, it would have been done by now. That's just kind of my angle on it. I still hope he goes out and gets him or gets a player like him. But I feel like if you're going to allocate that much money to and lock down a superstar, you kind of get it done at the beginning of free agency. So I still hope he does, but I'm not too sure he does.
Are you saying their superstar is Marcus Davenport?
I certainly hope not, Lucas.
Well,
they have so much money, and he's just sitting there.
I hope you're right.
Here's who else is sitting here. A couple of these guys I could give a rat's ass about, but except for Eckler. Eckler was signed. And
I think Leonard Williams just re-signed as well with Seattle.
So you have a Danielle Hunter. You have Danielle Hunter available, and this is Albert Breer. You have a Bengals defensive tackle, DJ Reader. You have a 49ers defensive end, Chase Young. Like, there's some options. I think we all agree Danielle's the big fish, and if Brad goes out and solidifies that, it does make up the Lions fan base, this section of fan base. It's like, we got to go all in. The window's now. If you get a Danielle Hunter, it's like, okay, we're good. That's the guy that'll come in and be a straight game changer. Unlike, Marcus Davenport, you know what I mean? It's okay. But it ain't. No, Danielle Hunter's, he was in a defensive player of the year candidate. And that will make Carlton Davis, Cam Sutton, the rest of your secondary a lot better. A lot better. Now, my honest opinion on it, I'm getting worried, fellas. I'm getting worried. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be a Lion. But
Don't be worried, fellas. Like
I'm-
Danielle hasn't
Not
signed
that-
with any, it's not he's still sitting there. He hasn't signed with anyone yet. And look how many teams out there have already went out and traded or signed defensive edges and spent money on a defensive lineman. Like
Yeah.
there are a lot of teams today who went out there and did it. There's only a few left who haven't. And guess who are one of those teams? The Detroit Lions.
Jeff, are
Well,
you
and I'm
worried
talking
he's
about
staying in the
contending
NFC
teams.
North or what?
Yeah,
I'm talking
I
about
would just.
contending. He's not going to. Why would he? Go
I
to
just see him in
with the
Chicago,
Bears?
man. I see him
Dude,
in
the
Chicago.
Bears, they just paid Montez Sweat. They just paid every
They have
linebacker.
the most cap space in the NFL.
They
this
can't spend that
offseason.
much money on their defense. They're going to get hurt in so many different other spots. There's no way.
I disagree. They have a lot of potential draft capital. They have the money to go get a Danielle Hunter. They have. I mean, you look at they only franchise tag Jalen Johnson this year, so their ability to roll him out, and they even if they did, they still
They
have
just
the ability
re-signed,
to
they just
sign him.
re-signed him to a big deal.
That's what I'm saying. Like they still have the money to go get Danielle Hunter. That's why
What
it's
about-
just like if you're Danielle Hunter, who do you want to play with?
Dude, I don't want to even think about that, guys. Don't even put that
Well,
in
here's-
don't even if that happens, I'm coming at you, fellas. Don't put that out in the air. Don't
They
put that
got
bad.
Khalil Mack once, so go
vibes.
get another type of player like that. I mean,
Well, I'll
obviously
bring-
no different.